Famous pianist asked disabled son of black janitor to play, for fun, unaware he's a piano prodigy. The grand concert hall of Riverside Academy was filled with quiet excitement. Rows of polished wooden seats stretched across the hall, slowly filling with guests dressed in elegant suits and evening gowns. The stage lights glowed softly over a beautiful black grand piano that stood at the center like a silent king waiting for its moment. Tonight was special. The world-famous pianist Alexander Whitmore was performing. For many people in the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada, Alexander Whitmore was more than just a musician. He was a legend. His concerts sold out months in advance, and people traveled across cities just to hear him play. But before the concert began, backstage was quiet. Whitmore had arrived early, wanting a few minutes alone with the piano. He always believed that a performer should greet the instrument before greeting the audience. As he walked toward the stage, adjusting his suit jacket, he noticed someone near the piano. A small boy. The boy sat in a wheelchair, his thin fingers gently touching the piano keys, pressing them softly one by one as if he was exploring a secret. Whitmore stopped. He wasn't angry, but he was surprised. Beside the boy stood a man in a janitor's uniform, holding a mop and a small cleaning bucket. The man looked nervous when he saw Whitmore approaching. "I'm so sorry, sir," the janitor said quickly. "We were just finishing cleaning. My son wanted to see the piano for a moment." Whitmore studied them quietly. The boy looked about 13 years old. His legs rested motionless on the wheelchair footrest, but his eyes were bright and curious. "What's your name?" Whitmore asked the boy. "Marcus," the boy replied softly. Whitmore nodded. "And you like the piano?" Marcus smiled. "More than anything." The janitor cleared his throat. "My name is Samuel," he said politely. "I clean here at night sometimes. Marcus likes to come with me after school. He listens to music on my phone while I work." Whitmore noticed the old phone sticking out of Samuel's pocket. It looked scratched and outdated. Still, the boy's fingers were moving gently across the keys, almost naturally. Whitmore crossed his arms. "You play?" he asked. Marcus hesitated. "A little." Samuel looked embarrassed. "He just messes around," Samuel said quickly. "He watches videos and tries to copy things. Nothing serious." Whitmore gave a small smile. He had seen children like this before. Kids who thought pressing random keys meant playing piano. But the concert didn't start for another hour. Whitmore felt relaxed tonight, so he walked closer and leaned against the piano. "Well, Marcus," he said kindly, "how about you play something for fun?" Samuel immediately shook his head. "Oh no, sir, we shouldn't." "It's all right," Whitmore interrupted gently. He looked at the boy again. "Go ahead. Just for fun." Marcus looked down at the keys. His hands rested quietly on his lap for a moment. Then he slowly moved his wheelchair closer to the piano. Whitmore expected simple notes, maybe a basic melody, maybe even random sounds. But when Marcus placed his fingers on the keys, everything changed. The first notes floated into the air like soft raindrops. Whitmore straightened immediately. Those were not random notes. Those were deliberate, precise. Marcus's fingers began moving smoothly across the keyboard. The melody grew stronger, richer, more emotional. Whitmore felt something strange in his chest. Because the boy wasn't just playing a song. He was playing Chopin, and not just playing it. He was playing it perfectly. Whitmore slowly stepped closer to the piano. Samuel stood frozen beside the stage stairs, staring at his son with wide eyes. Marcus's hands moved with incredible speed and grace. His fingers danced across the keys as if the piano had always belonged to him. Whitmore whispered quietly to himself. "That's impossible. This piece required years of training." Years. And yet Marcus played with the natural control of a seasoned performer. The music filled the empty concert hall. Each note carried emotion. Each pause felt intentional. Whitmore realized something else too. Marcus wasn't copying a recording. He was interpreting the music, adding subtle variations, expressing feeling in a way most professional musicians struggled to achieve. Whitmore felt goosebumps rise along his arms. The final notes echoed softly across the hall. Marcus lifted his hands from the keys. Silence followed. Whitmore stared at him. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Whitmore asked slowly, "Where did you learn to play like that?" Marcus looked slightly nervous. "I just listened to recordings." Whitmore blinked. Recordings. Marcus nodded. Mostly yours. Whitmore glanced toward Samuel. The janitor looked overwhelmed. I didn't know he could do that, Samuel said quietly. I swear I didn't know. Whitmore turned back to Marcus. You've never had lessons. Marcus shook his head. No, sir. Whitmore sat down on the piano bench. He studied the keyboard carefully, thinking. Then he looked back at Marcus. Play something else. Marcus hesitated. Anything you want. Marcus nodded. This time, he didn't choose Chopin. Instead, he began playing something unexpected. A jazz progression. Whitmore's eyebrows rose immediately. The boy's left hand created a deep rhythmic bass pattern while his right hand improvised freely over the melody. It wasn't memorized. It was pure creativity. Whitmore leaned forward. He had spent 40 years in music. And in all those years, he had rarely seen raw talent like this. Marcus finished the piece and looked up shyly. Was that okay? Whitmore laughed softly. Okay. He stood up slowly. Marcus, do you know what a prodigy is? Marcus shook his head. Whitmore looked at Samuel. Your son isn't just good, he said carefully. He's extraordinary. Samuel looked confused. But he just watches videos. Whitmore raised a hand gently. No. He looked at Marcus again. This boy hears music differently. Whitmore walked across the stage quietly, thinking deeply. Thousands of students around the world spent decades learning the piano. Yet here was a boy who had never taken a single lesson. And he played like someone who belonged on this stage. Whitmore suddenly turned back. Marcus, he said, would you like to play again tonight? Marcus blinked. Tonight. Whitmore nodded. In the concert. Samuel nearly dropped his mop. Oh no, sir, that's not possible. Whitmore smiled. I think it's exactly possible. Marcus looked stunned. But, there will be a lot of people. Whitmore chuckled. Yes, about 2,000. Marcus's eyes widened. Whitmore walked over and gently placed a hand on the piano. You don't have to, he said kindly. But I think the world deserves to hear what I just heard. Samuel shook his head slowly, overwhelmed. I don't know if he's ready. Whitmore looked at Marcus. The boy seemed quiet, but thoughtful. Then Marcus asked something unexpected. Will you play with me? Whitmore froze. For a moment, the legendary pianist simply stared at the boy. Then a slow smile appeared on his face. Marcus, he said softly. I would be honored. And for the first time in many years, Alexander Whitmore felt nervous before a concert. Because tonight, the audience might not remember his performance. They might remember the boy in the wheelchair who walked onto the stage and changed everything.